Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from. Again, welcome to a brand new season of the Hard Zone. On the Hard Zone, we try to keep our conversation free from any bias, and just by way of disclaimer, all of the opinions and positions that will be offered on this network and this podcast and that is not the official position of the network, but that of the individual panelists that will be offering them.
Having 4 people on the back of a taxi driver, you want to compare it with 6 people on the back of a motorcycle? Come on, bro, Sharif.
Donald Trump was a former president. His words are very powerful. You can't just accuse an entire community like that. It's wrong.
Listen, Walker, I was one of those people that he actually told me face to face in his home that I would declare my asset. I would make sure my officials declare their asset. And today's date, something as simple as that has not been done.
We are working. We are not going to allow this structure to have the opportunity for 6 years and they never did anything besides stealing the Liberian people money.
We got to be honest here. This old man is one of the incompetent old men that I have ever seen.
We need to have someone who has the educational background as well as the field experience to be able to provide oversight.
All of what Kamala is promising now, the last 4 years, why haven't they done anything? She and Joe Biden.
Look, church leaders, if Liberia will be better, you must play your role.
It is too early to criticize Waka because it is the formation stage.
Again, I'm your host. My name is Derek Yale, and let's get started. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from. Let me say welcome to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. If this is the first time on here, the Liberia Radio and Television Network is a local media institution right here in Northeast Philadelphia. We have our office open for business in Liberia. And also you can catch us on Facebook at the LRTN Live or Liberia Radio and Television Network. We also have our channel on YouTube in which we'll carry this podcast or this live stream or we'll stream this podcast live. And we have a page on Instagram as well. So make sure you are checking us out on all of those platforms and make sure you're following this network. LRTN tonight is proud to present another episode of the Hard Zone. That is episode 4 of season 7. And the Hard Zone is an opinion-based talk show where we have a team of panelists to talk about issues in Liberia and the diaspora. And just to give you a heads up before I actually get into giving you a heads up on what to expect on this program tonight, let me ask all of you watching us to please do us a favor. Make sure you're sharing this program on your individual social media pages and also make sure you're following the network. Again, guys, just to give you a heads up on what to expect, we came on late, but we usually will bring you our current events from Liberia and the diaspora. And also we will have our panelists on the screen shortly, and then we'll introduce our discussion for the night. And then we will take a couple of breaks. After our last break, we will ask our panelists for their closing remark, and then we'll draw the curtain to this episode. My name is Derek Yale, and obviously I will be playing host tonight. So let's get right into things. The biggest news coming out of Liberia today this week is that of the home of the House of Representatives catching on fire, or the Parliament catching fire in Liberia. And there has been also other development, including the White Tuesday protest, with former President George Manuel Weah, Special Aide Sekou, Special Aide was arrested, and we got news today that he was later released. So those developments and others are trending this week in Liberia. So we will have our panelists on to actually talk about those things and other things that caught their attention this week. But before I get into that again, guys, I can't ask you enough. Please make sure you're sharing this program on all of your social media pages. Make sure you are following this network. We have a lot to discuss tonight. So with that being said, let me have our panelists lined up for this episode, and then we will take their introduction and just get right into things. If you are watching us, this is episode 4 of season 7 of The Hard Zone. On our panelists lineup tonight, we have Mr. Sandy, Mr. Boda, Mr. Jawinkin Wia, and Bishop Reeves. We will have other panelists joining us as the show progresses. But let me start with you, Mr. Sandy. Welcome to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Sandy.
Thank you. Let me say thank to you and the rest of the crew. First, let me commend you for the platform, helping to propagate messages from home and abroad to targeted Liberians. It is indeed a pleasure being here, and I hope that we can have a very rewarding and fruitful discussion. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandy. It's a pleasure to have you here on your debut episode on The Hard Zone.
Sure.
Mr. Martin Boda, I'd like to come to you next. Welcome to yet another episode 4, season 7.
Thank you, Derek, for having me. Excuse me for my voice. I'm under the water a little bit, but it's a pleasure to always be here to discuss issues affecting our nations and other national issues around the world. And I also want to say good evening to my fellow panelists here tonight, and I hope we have a fruitful discussion as Liberia is plunging into chaos and lawlessness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin Boda. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I hope your world situation improve. I know you're under the weather, but again, you still made your way here today, so it's good to have you. Bishop Reeves, I'd like to come to you next. Welcome to another episode. You're on mute.
I'm sorry for that. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited again to be with all of you. I've been away for a little bit, and I think I've been on some kind of sabbatical and working behind the scenes, but it's also good to be back in Liberia and right in the heart of things happening. And you guys look really, really good tonight, so I'm expecting a real good show. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop Reeves. It's always a pleasure to have you here as well. And again, you left us for a while, but it's good to have you back. I think Mr. Jawinkin, we have said some things about that last episode, but I'm just going to leave that for another day. With that being said, Mr. Jawinkin, let me come to you next. Welcome to the show.
Okay, Derek, Bishop Reeves, welcome back to the show. Mr. Sandy, also welcome. This is the LR team, guys. Go for it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. Mr. Prince Sheriff, I'll come to you next. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, my brother Derek, and let me say hi to our distinguished panelists, to the audience, and those of us that are here. Today is a very sad day. Liberia is at a crossroad with the first political prisoners recorded in our history. Today is a sad day with the government of Liberia, headed by Joseph Nyoma Boyka, ordering members of the Liberia National Police to open live bullets on innocent and harmless citizens who went at the Capitol building to petition their lawmakers. Today, it is a sad day that Liberia, we are recording what was recorded years ago When 13 men was put on the poll, today we are seeing 13 plus individuals been accused by government falsely, by the president, and incarcerated falsely, denied of every other opportunity as enshrined in the Geneva Convention. But again, we are here to discuss relative to what is happening in Liberia. And we are grateful that we have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. What an introduction. You know, you gotta all warm up. But again, thank you so much for that opening. Again, guys, a whole lot, like you listened to Mr. Sheriff, a whole lot has been happening in Liberia. We had like the White Tuesday, we had the fire incident, and we've been getting a whole lot of reactions. Now, but do not allow this conversation to limit you to that. I know that's the main discussion tonight. But I would like to do an open panel and get to know what you guys have been following, and then we can set the tone for the conversation. I know it's Mr. Sandy first time here, but you all know the rules, and because we have a lot of panelists tonight, so we'll be doing 2 minutes per panelist. Whenever I come over to you, you have 2 minutes to make a point, and I will be very straight about that, so that we can have a good discussion and everyone can have the time to talk about what they have to talk about. Again, Mr. Sheriff, you had a very great start in your intro, so I would like to start with you so you can take us on.
Excuse me, Derek. Before we proceed, Derek, before we proceed, there are two things. One, we want to see Mr. Sheriff's face. Number two, Mr. Sheriff and Jarwinkel, we will have to openly congratulate me upon my victory in the United States. So I'm waiting for them to do that. Mr. Martin did it behind closed doors, no problem with that. But I would like them to, just congratulate me.
Yeah, the boy in your court, Mr. Weir. I can't speak for you on that one.
Okay, I can start on that. I know the bishop is talking about Trump victory.
Yes,
the convicted felon president. But here's what I can say. In my opinion, I believe that electing Trump is one of the ways for God.
My man, don't waste our time. America
No.
Just congratulate me.
Mr. Reed, don't interfere, please.
America spoke. So just congratulate me.
Mr. Reeves, give me a chance.
Mr. Reeves.
I said you are congratulated, but I want to say something.
To make his point.
The election of Trump is meant for God to teach America a lesson. Trust me. Listen. I believe it strongly. I told people, and I'm saying it on this show, people will see it. Trump will want to go for the third term. Trump does not respect the Constitution. Today, he and Elon Musk thank their own provision. I mean, their own law about the government running. But the American people will see in 8 months the real Trump, who is an autocrat. Yes, he won. But most of the people were deceived with lies, and they're going to feel the pinch of the lies they voted for. Thank you.
So Mr.
Man, stop that thing. Stop that thing you're talking over there. Congratulate people and let's move on with that thing. Stop that thing you're talking over there. America spoke. America has spoken. Just honor what the people have done. Finish. So congratulate me.
I said congratulations, but this is why it happened.
No. We don't want to hear what happened and what will happen. We just want you to say, congratulations, I was defeated. Thank you. Then we'll move on. That's it.
Apparently, Mr. We are not going to say that. Let's hear from Mr. Sheriff. You did call his name. Mr.
Yes,
Sheriff.
I call his name. I want to see Mr. Sheriff's face.
All right. Thank you. Let me say again, I'm sorry that the reason why I am not on camera is because, I am, to some extent, I am on the clock, on and off. And I think it would not be fair to the distinguished panelists here while I am going off and on, on the camera. So I choose for now to just use the voice. So I'm sorry, please forgive me for that. But again, I want to say congratulations to you and many of us who supported President Trump. It is not a surprise that President Trump emerged victorious and with a kind of wide margin. And this is what we are just going to see comes 2029. because the indications are clear. Now, we saw those factors that led to the overwhelming victory of President Trump. And similar thing is happening in Liberia. In fact, Liberia is even by far worse. With all of the system that was put in place by the international community to ensure that our democracy, is better, is fine. Today, we are seeing that this government that have taken over under the leadership of Joseph Numa Boyka is breaking down those systems and disrespecting the rule of law. So it is of no exception that we can assure you that what happened here and the victory that happened here with President Trump, that will be done overwhelmingly in Liberia comes 2029. So again, we want to say congratulations to all of those who supported President Trump and ensure that he, remains victorious. Thank you and congratulations again.
Oh, Sherry, can you add a picture to the screen? Just a picture of you, not your last picture.
Okay, I will try to do it, but we are not. We'll try to do it. Okay, we'll try to do it. But if not, please bear with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff. Mr. Boda, let me come back to you so you can set us off on this conversation. Now, on the White Tuesday, now we've seen reports that there were police or release or tear gas. Some say live bullets, but most of the reports I've seen, it was tear gas. And also there were some arrests made, including former President George Manawiat, 8 in Sekou. So I want for you to talk about that, and before we talk about the burning of the Capitol. So let's just set the stage with that discussion. Mr. Boda.
Well, there's a lot going on in Liberia, and it's unfortunate that we have to drag ourselves into the situation we found ourselves in. What do I mean by that is that this is coming from our capital, our legislative capital, where our seat of government is. These are people who write our law and pass it on to the nation. And to see total chaos in our behavior, not just in that section where sometimes people disagree, and you're finding other parliament where they disagree, shut at each other, and come back to resolve their issues. But the prolonging of the crisis between the House of Representatives over the removal of their speaker, and to find them cannot even follow through with their own rules that conform with our Constitution, is unbelievable. And that is the beginning of our crisis, because these people are representing constituents within our political subdivision in our country. And come to talk about arresting people, I don't know much about what they call him, George Weah, but the police should not be involved the way they are at the Capitol, especially when it comes to the House of Representatives. But again, that behavior had not shown to make them responsible. So the police have to come in to instill discipline in lawmakers. That in itself is a disgrace to our nation and the fabric of our society. So it's just unimaginable that we will find ourselves at this point when we build a young democracy, that we try to create that atmosphere, that environment where we can say now that we have succession of smooth transition for the last 3 years. For the last 18 years. And to find ourselves going into the ditch that we're finding ourselves in, it's hard to swallow. And there have been a failure in leadership across the country. All sectors of our political, our governing process have failed the Liberian people in the world. So my thing here is, I think Liberian in every sector, whether the diaspora or home, we need to start rethinking what kind of nation are we trying to build, or what kind of nation are we? We need to rethink ourselves, because it's there is no winner in the whole situation. There is no leader. Nobody emerging to be a leader. Not even the Senate, not the House, not the president. It's a total loss of control. And so we need to recast our society and what we can do to calibrate our institutions and the mindset of our people. Because it's a sad day for everyone, or wherever we find ourselves, wherever side of political, how you find yourself, it's just a sad day for our nation.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Just to highlight some of the things you said, you don't think the police should have been involved, but you also think the protesters did not behave accordingly, so their involvement is kind of justified. And you also made a statement. You said there's failure in leadership in every sector. I will come back to you with more question on that. But now let me hear from Mr. Sandy. White Tuesday. What do you think about that protest and how it went, how it ended, and all of the reactions that come out of that?
Well, I would just like to piggyback on what Martin said earlier. The news evolving out of Liberia, the current situation is very sad, disturbing. We see a complete breakdown in leadership. We see overzealousness. We see inefficiency. And let me make this self-disclosure. In 2023, when Mr. Boubacar and other candidates campaigned for the presidency, I campaigned for Mr. Boubacar very hard. My colleagues and I of the issues room, we did a comparative analysis. We, like other Liberians, bought into this whole thing that this man has more than 40 years political leadership experience. We bought into that, and we succeeded in selling him to Liberians, and he won the presidency. Unfortunately, in less than a year, Mr. Boubacar has demonstrated to Liberians that he's grossly incompetent, and you can quote me on that. He's grossly incompetent. He has no clue in terms of what he's doing. The situation in the House of Representatives is being enabled by the executive. He's the key brain behind the crisis in the House of Representatives. I need not repeat myself because anyone who is consistently following happenings, the contemporary news in Liberia, will agree with me that the executive is actively engaged. There are laws that clearly define how the Speaker of the Legislature can be removed. Article 49 clearly states that a Speaker is elected every 6 years. The Speaker can be removed for a cause. Those seeking the removal of the Speaker must be able to attend to 10 votes, meaning 49 persons. The rules clearly define that as well. Article 33 clearly defines that. The Speaker is the presiding officer. A group of renegades, I'm sorry, I hope I don't offend anybody, but a group of renegade lawmakers got together on October 17 and came up with a resolution asking for the removal of the Speaker. Absolutely, it's their constitutional right. The Speaker returns to the country. The Speaker says, "Hey, here's the process." Unfortunately, we have people in the law, in the legislature, and people who make the laws of the country, when they come across as idiotic, you make the law and you don't know the law, then I don't know where Liberia is headed. Article 33 clearly defines that the Speaker is the presiding officer. You cannot have prior sections. Jawan and Moses can set up their own section. Derek and Martin set up their own section. You have one section. When you have one section, the Speaker presides. You want to remove the Speaker? This is the process. You guys go to General Assembly. You put for your resolution. The resolution is received by the very speaker. That resolution is turned over to the House Standing Committee on Rules and Order. The matter is probed. When the matter is probed, the very committee reports back to plenary. When the matter is reported back to plenary, at that session, the speaker is asked to recuse himself because we don't want this to be a conflict of interest. The speaker stands aside, somebody preside, he's giving due process. Hey, many people say you have conflict of interest representing all these companies, you are corrupt, you are this, you are that, and all of that. The speaker comes, you make a case. That's the fairness doctrines in the legal world. Due process. An accusation is not a conviction. For the three persons got together, they have not been able to secure the 49. They say, oh, we can't sit under this man because we have accusing. We consider ourselves quote unquote majority black, but the Constitution provides for nothing called majority black. The Constitution has specific guidelines. Say 2/3. You have 73%. Until you get a 2/3, you have not been able to remove this man. This man was duly elected. Okay? I'm just going to the historicity so people can have an understanding of what is happening in there. So it's clearly laid out the process, lay out the rules of the House, clearly state the process. And the people say they can sit within that. Article 33 say, for the fact that the speaker has not been able to secure, because in order to have a session, you must have what? Simple majority, that 37%. But the law says that the minority can continue to go to session and adjourn from day to day and compel the majority to come. That's what Kofi and his people have been doing. They went to Supreme Court. Prior to going to Supreme Court, the quote-unquote majority said, hey, Speaker, we have removed you. They started removing committees. They did everything outside of constitutional provision. The matter went to court. The Supreme Court clearly stated that, look, until you conform to Article 49, Article 33, which says that this guy be given due process. He's a speaker, constitutionally elected speaker. Everything that you did that did not conform to those constitutional provisions, they are considered what? Ultra vires, meaning you exercise an authority which you do not have. This is where the executive comes in. The executive comes in the wake of this problem, and this is where I'm really despondent, disappointed, upset that Mr. Boakawo says he has over 40 years political leadership. He comes and takes side with a group of people that are operating illegally in violation of the constitution of the country. He takes his political appointees and sends them to the capital. The Minister of Finance submits the national budget to the same renegades, the thugs, the troublemakers, the hooligans. He sent them the budget. He tells people, say, okay, yeah, appear before the scenes, quote unquote, majority black for hearings, oversight hearings. The Minister of Internal Affairs went there. The Minister of Transport appeared before the same committee. The Managing Director, water and so on, appeared before the same people that clearly, constitutionally, operating illegally. The president comes and say, after the speaker reached out to him and say, hey, this is undermining my authority. He writes the speaker saying that the executive is seeking what? Consultation, legal consultation. After the legal consultation, the executive comes and misinterpret what came from the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court rules is the law of the land. The Supreme Court is a separate branch of government. Everybody has known that the executive is compromised. Where you think the people got the money to stay in the hotel?
Thank you.
For over 2 months.
Thank
Where
you.
that money coming from?
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. We'll come back to you. You had some very strong words for the president. I will say, you said or you think
I
he's
can tell you, yeah, you know, I can
grossly?
restate it. Yeah,
I will.
grossly, he's grossly incompetent. Yeah,
I will come back to you on that. But
yeah.
let's hear from Mr. Weah. Talk to us about the White Tuesday protest, how it went. Do you think their protests were justified? Do you think the government handled it well, Mr. Jawinkin Weah?
You were very low.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yes. Can you talk to us about the White Tuesday protest? Do you think the reason for being there, their petition, do you think it's justified? You listen to Mr. Sandy, and also can you talk about how the government? What do you think about how the government handled the protest?
Okay, thank you. Basically, in Liberia, we have the right to protest.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing. You don't have to. One person can even protest. Two persons can protest. We have that protection under the Constitution. With respect to the arrest, I don't know what has transpired, but if anybody violated a law, no matter of status, he or she can be arrested. I'm making it clear because some people want to link the arrest to the former president, try to politicize it without inquiring what really happened. I wanted to make that clear first. As I say, I don't know the details. The reason why the ex bodyguard or ex-security of President Weah was arrested. But being the ex-security or being the ex-bodyguard of a former president does not exempt anybody from being arrested if you violate the law of the country. I want to make that clear. As Mr. Sandy said, I disappointed with the performance so far of President Boakai, beginning with the disbursement of funds during the inauguration. That was the first error. That was the first mistake. Up to this point, we haven't heard anything about that money. The past election, I supported Gongro, and I still believe Gongro is the best bet for Liberia at this point. We cannot do anything in Liberia without the rule of law. And that starts with the presidency. For too long, we see the presidency in Liberia of being so powerful, controlling the three separate branches of government somehow. Mr. Boakai, who was elected based on the assumption of many Liberians who supported him that because of his services for a long time, he would have capitalized on this mistake to right the wrong of Liberia. From the time he assumed power, I haven't heard any outlines defining what he has for Liberian people and what should be their expectation.
Thank you.
There is no timeline. They just do things here and there. He didn't say, oh, this is where we are today as Liberians. This is how we're going to do it. No expectation set out to Liberian people to say, well, this is what we're going to do. As a result, everybody does what he or she wants in government. The same old thing. People believing that whenever you are in power, in violation of Article 1 of the Constitution, that whenever you are in power, the purpose of being in power is to serve for the benefit and security of Liberian people. All of them, including the lawmakers, they do the same. Nobody wants to change. Yes, it is true that what is happening in Congress, there is no quorum. But as I said before, for the sake of the Liberian people, the same thing that is happening here in the United States, when you see yourself that you are a distraction to the progress of the country, he can give way. Yes, the current speaker has the right, but this is about him. The country comes first. There should be a compromise. Buakai was wrong, and you can stick to this, holding on to the right, while the business of the Liberian people is on hold. As I said before, I believe strongly the current speaker is sticking to the law because it has to do to protecting his position as speaker of the country. But the last time I checked, I haven't seen any lawmaker in that country who will stick their head or anything to talk about changing any law for the interest of the Liberian people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. Now, before I come to you, Bishop Reeves, let me recognize the presence of Mr. J. Randy. Mr. Randy, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Randy. How are you?
Hey, welcome back, man.
Hey, before the man speak, that man wrote a big book.
Mr. Randy, you're on mute. You're on mute.
My brother here made some big book the last time, so I would like to get some clarity before you make some speeches tonight, brother.
I don't know. Are you part of the interviewing committee or are you a guest? Because you gave me a first question, and so you should reach out to me. I mean, if you have a concern with that, you should reach out to me. So all the tools are available on Messenger now.
I wrote there and you did not respond. So that's not the case. That's not the case. Go ahead and put behind the scene tonight.
Yeah, because it kind of escalating differently.
But welcome to the show, Mr.
Welcome back, brother. I just killing you.
That's fine. That's fine. All about the conversation.
Thank you, Bishop Reeves. Let's hear from you. Talk to us about this White Tuesday protest. You listened to Mr. Weah's position on the leadership crisis at the legislature. You also listen to Mr. Sandy's position, and then we also have the most recent burning of the Capitol. All of them, but talk to us particularly on the protest. What do you think? How do you think the government handled it? Give us your position. You're on mute.
Well, I can't speak to the protest because I have been traveling from America, Ghana, other parts of Africa. I just got back to Monrovia, and when I got back to Monrovia, I started to catch up on things. But my position tonight is the same position as Mr. Sandy. All right. And he could not have explained it more clearly. Right. When I started to hear what was going on and I found out how, what happened, I was appalled. Let me be honest with you, because where we are in Liberia, we need to move our country forward. And in order to move Liberia forward, we have to follow the rule of law. We have to follow the Constitution. That's our Bible as a country. We have to follow it. And my position also, I don't think President Boyka have handled this thing properly. He hasn't, and they need to do something about it. Apart from that, the lawmakers that we have, I feel very embarrassed about the way they are proceeding, whether it's majority block or whatever. I feel very, very embarrassed the way they are proceeding because, and I don't want to sit here and speculate, but we hear a lot of things. Okay, some of those things we hear, we might not be able to authenticate them because people can talk. And the thing is, Liberia is a very small country, and everybody know everybody, and everybody hear things from everywhere. Our lawmakers have not been proceeding properly, and they need to be audited, and a lot of stuff need to happen when it comes to our lawmakers, because they are the ones that we depend on to help to run this country. Apart from the executive, we depend on them, but they have been very, very disappointing in their approach. So what happened so far as the the protest is concerned, and all of the negatives that came about, I just think that the government need to take a different approach and take the right approach to help the Liberian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reese. Let me hear now from Mr. Sheriff. Mr. Sheriff, you've been listening to the conversation. Give us your take on the White Tuesday protest and other things that have been happening in Liberia. But let me ask you first.
Thank you.
Before I give you the opportunity to speak, just a reminder to everyone that we have 2 minutes, and I'm being very straight about the 2 minutes tonight because we have a lot of panelists here. Mr. Sheriff, let's hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you again. I want to start by saying that it is the constitutional right of every Liberian, as enshrined in Article 17, that it is the right of every citizen to gather, to assemble, in order to be able to petition their lawmaker or their government official. And I see those who try to do that as heroes and heroines, people who try to, uphold and respect the Constitution. But this is what I'm taken aback by, and I'm not surprised anyway, that the government of Liberia, the head of the executive, Mr. Joseph Nyuma Boyka, will order the Liberian National Police to shoot at innocent citizens. I'm not surprised, because we said it from the very beginning, that Mr. Boyka has no energy, absolutely no energy to encourage criticism, to encourage freedom, to encourage peace, and people to express their own opposition to his, dictatorial style of leadership. So we are not surprised. But this is it. We want to say thanks to everybody on this particular platform that are bold enough to be able to call out, the ills that is happening in this particular region. I remember a few days ago, my own father, Mr. Weah, said that it was too early for us to condemn this government, so therefore we should give the government chance and time. I don't know whether he still believes in that, I don't know why he still believes in that. But this is what is happening. And I see this as a political genocide by Mr. Boyka and his gangster. For you, somebody who, quote unquote, have all of the experience, and you even worked in the previous government of the late President Samuel Kanyondu, and know very well what happened that led to that particular government being, whether toppled or whatever, and subsequently led to the murder of, the late President Samuel Kanyondu. Joseph Nyuma Boyka, yes, sir?
15 seconds, please.
Okay, to proceed in this manner, I think it is fearful. It is very fearful. And this is the reason why we must all call out this government, and we are calling on our international partners, because the way things are going, we are seeing the recipe for chaos and unrest in our country. We cannot continue to proceed this way. The statement of Joseph Nyuma Boyka is inflammatory. You heard what he said at the Capitol building.
Mr. Sheriff, we'll come back to you, but thank you so much. Before we come to you, Mr. Randy, let me recognize the presence of Bishop Hagar. Bishop Hagar, thank you for joining us on episode 4 of season 7. Thank you. Mr. Randy, let me come to you. You've been following issues in Liberia. Talk to us about the White Tuesday protest. How do you think the government handled it? Do you think those protesters were justified to be out there? Do you think they were peaceful, as it's been described in some of the development we got coming out of Liberia? Mr. Randy.
Yes, thank you. First of all, before I begin to answer any question here, I'd like to ask a general question here, and I will answer the question myself. I believe everyone watching me here, you are probably looking at your kids, your family, you're getting ready for the Christmas, and you are living your life. Whether you have connection with Boyka or Weah, you are living your life in the United States because the opportunity here give you that right and that privilege. And based on that, I'm going to answer a question here and make statement here very honest, because I live in the same situation as myself. Coming to the protest, in my opinion, is not something new. This is something that we saw growing up. I grew up in the Samuel Kanyondu era. I saw a lot of protests. we went to war, nothing has changed. So what the essence of protesting when you have people who live in the past era, saw what happened, and up to today they are not figuring out things. It just goes to show that people are customizing their likeness for certain things. The protest missed the opportunity because there were three indicators. The people of Liberia are suffering immensely. And as part of their civil rights, they came up with a civil protest that focused on issue and other stuff. Mr. Boga, on the other hand, who is creating a climate of political violence, because the entire climate of Liberia now has moved from stability, security to violence, decided to use that opportunity to go at the Capitol building, knowing fully well that there was an announced protest, not an unannounced protest. But then the CDC, on the other hand, too, decided to use that civil protest, the civil protest, to bring in a political protest. And today, the people who protested on Tuesday, they are nowhere to be found. We see Kalasco now are taking the airway now because CDC came in with a hidden agenda to come with that political protest.
30 seconds, please.
To overshadow the civil protest. So for me, the protest did not meet what the intention were.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Randy. Bishop Hager, let me take you next. Talk to us about the White Tuesday protest. How do you think it went? How do you think the government of Liberia handles it? Bishop Hager.
In Liberia, the right to peaceful assembly and demonstration is guaranteed by the Constitution. We know, as my young brother there, Prince Sherry said, Article 17 of the 1986 Constitution guarantee that all persons shall have the right to freedom of assembly and association. However, there's a law they call the law governing demonstration. The Liberian National Police out of 2015 requires organizers of demonstration to notify the police at least 48 hours prior to the event. The Public Order Act of 1972 prohibits demonstrators or demonstration that may breach the peace or endanger public safety. The Act also requires demonstrators to obtain permit from the Ministry of Justice before holding a demonstration. If Mr. Prince Sherry can answer the question of the protester, obey the Liberia Police Act of 2015 that required the organizer to notify the police 48 hours before the protest. Then I will proceed.
To just go straightly to yes, sir. To go straightly to that. There are two issues I want to clarify here. The first issue is from my brother Randy. The protest was never and was not a political protest that was organized by the CDC. These are citizens that have their right and decided that they wanted, to petition their own government official. So the CDC as a political institution has absolutely nothing to do with what happened. While it is true that people who attended the protest may be associating with other political parties, including members of even the how you call the ruling party, the Unity Party, there were some people that were there. So we want to make this clear. The second issue is, look, you know that any law that stands contrary to what is enshrined in the Constitution, that law is deemed unnecessary, is trash, and it's not even given credence. You know that. So when I hear people, or when I hear the Honorable Bishop, talking about, 2000 what I know police act, and look, let's be fair here. Let's be fair. The Constitution is the greatest and the biggest law, and any other thing that try to contravene it will be considered null and void. So we don't consider that. If you are using that in order for you to be able to, impede on people's political rights, then it must stop. Yes, sir.
You have exhausted the 1 minute I allotted to you. I will go back to Bishop Hager so he can complete his time. Bishop Hager.
Yeah, Prince Terry admitted that those Liberians that wanted to, protest, and which of course are right, they should have understand this 2015 law, Police Act, Public Safety Act, the CDC government for 6 years, use it. Everybody aware of that, that the police always said, notify us 48 hours and will give you specific route that you will use so that you will not impede traffic. Moreover, you only have very limited road and businesses have to run. And then people come and take one black traffic and then everybody in a mess. So you got to tell the police so the police can give you the right route that you can use that everybody will not be infringed upon. So I'm not against the gathering. It's a right for you to gather and actually live your grievances towards your authority, but it has to be done within the confines of the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Within the confines of the law, I'll come back to you. But let me give Mr. John Wiggin a minute, and then he can.
Okay, I just let him make a point. I don't want for Brother Sherry to have it both ways. Why it is true that I am not a supporter of Wakai, but he's the president of the country. He started by saying political prisoners. So you are making that reference to the ex-bodyguard of the former president. So that was politicized from the beginning. So you can't right now say, well, CDC was done there. You can't have it both ways. That's what I said in my introduction. Regardless of your political status, I don't know the details, but if you break the law, we should not just say because this person, even it could be President Weah himself, if he breaks the law, I think he'd be held accountable. So we need to remove that into when we're talking about rule of law, we should be very strict about rule of law. There should be no exemption. We should not exempt other people from being apprehended if they break the law. That's the clarification I'd like to make.
Thank you very much.
Derek, can you just give me a minute? I just want to provide a little bit of clarification. Two comments from Jawin Ken Weah. And I would like to start with the latter. The rule of law. Everywhere we tend to, we talk about rule of law, rule of law. What does it mean? When we speak of rule of law, we're talking about a set of principles, that ensures orderliness, that a society will be governed with order, and everyone in that society will be held accountable in keeping with the laws of the country. Everyone in our country will be treated fairly in keeping with the laws of the country. Right. So now coming back to the protest. The protest was announced several days. The police was aware. There's constitutional provision that the people have the right to assemble and make and submit a grievance or make their grievance known to their political leaders. The people show up. Prior to the people showing up, the Capitol building was barricaded by the police.
15 seconds, Mr. Sandy.
Yeah, the place was barricaded by the police. When the people show up, the situation escalated. The police started firing tear gas. People got wounded. So the police also take a full responsibility for what happened. These people were not carrying weapons.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandy. I don't know if Bishop Hagar.
Yeah, I need to ask.
I'll give you a minute, Bishop Hagar, and then I have to go to Mr. Boda.
Go ahead. So.
Yeah, Mr. Sandy, you said that the protest was known.
Yeah, it was announced.
When people come on Facebook and say we're going to protest, there's a framework. You write a written letter to the police authority. Are you saying tonight that the organizer did exactly that?
Okay, excellent question, Reverend. The Constitution of the Republic of Liberia does not require that. The Constitution gave the people the right. Just a moment. The constitutional provision gave the people the right to assemble.
I agree with argue with that, but I'm
assemble
saying for
in a peaceful way. But you don't have to go to the Ministry of Justice seeking permit. It's
okay.
something that was put in place. It was put in place by our political leader, but the Constitution clearly says the people have the right to assemble.
Thank
It
you.
must be done peacefully.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bishop Hager. Let's move on to Mr. Buddha. Mr. Buddha, I do have a question for you. I don't know if we lost Bishop Hager or you're still here, but I have a question for you. You know, and I'll take the conversation back to the issues at the House of Representatives with their leadership problem, and I want you to kind of reconcile Bishop Hager's position on that. You know, when we talk about the leadership crisis in the legislature, he seems to because he took a position last show where he said that it doesn't matter if they're not following the Constitution. The speaker needs to be removed if his colleagues do not have confidence in him. Now, but I hear him saying when it comes to people protesting, they should do it within the confines, within the law. They should follow the law by the T. How do you? I want you to like reconcile those two statements. Bishop, I will come to you for the rebuttal. I understand. I mentioned your name, so I have to come back to you. But I want you to reconcile those two positions. Where when it's the speaker leadership crisis, Bishop Hager seems to not want them to just go with what the colleagues said. But when it comes to the other issues, now they should go within the confines of the law. Talk to us about that.
Well, to relate to Bishop Hager or his stand up within the conversation or in defense of the government, he had made a position known. He said he's going to defend the government at all costs. So the cause was not defined. The cause could be bad, good. He defends every cost. So what I want to speak to here directly is we're talking about the rule of law. We're talking about governance. It's very crucial to our democracy. The House has an issue that they started a crisis in our own house. We violate our law and the law that they've made. That is the violation by itself. Then coupled with the separation of branches of government that has to do with the executive, then the Senate. The president has a lot of tools, a lot of things in his toolbox that he uses to mitigate this problem. Instead of being a part, he should have mitigated the problem. If the budget is the concern of the president and to run the government, this means around the House, the president will go to the Senate, submit his budget to the House, go to the Senate. The House is not functioning. We cannot keep the country sitting while we got issue. The country has to be run as a nation. There is no need to recognize any specific groups of the House. That's not a role. That's not even the Senate role to recognize any particular group of people.
That's true. Thank you.
That is the compound the problem.
Thank you, Bishop Hager. I'll give you a minute, and then we'll have to go to Mr. Sheriff, Mr. Randy, and Bishop Reeves. A minute.
I made it so very clearly, and I said to you, the fact majority of the House of Representatives members, they never wanted on that COFA is an indication that he has lost the ability to lead. So for me, whoever when let's go back in chambers, let's go back in session, it is going to be almost impractical for him to be speaker. So the right thing for him to do is just to resign. And you guys are talking about the law. I'm not against the law. I'm saying, as a speaker, if you lose your deputy, all the people in the different standing committee, those that work with you, that give you the power, they are lost confidence in you. It is just necessary. Man, I don't know how much to say. It has been all political, in all political dispensation around the world. if you know you don't have the vote to remain speaker, you just resign. That's what I said to him. And I will remain with my stand. That's how it is. If you want to follow the law, go ahead, but he have lost his influence for the.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's hear from Mr. Sheriff, and then I will come to you, Bishop Reeves, next. Mr. Sheriff.
It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that people will say that we must ignore the rule of law only because we want to satisfy a few group of people. It is unfortunate, and especially those of us that live here in this advanced world, the United States of America, where the law can be able to catch anybody and make sure that they account. It is unfortunate, and I think, Bishop, you should not be the one, using that statement. I think what we should be doing is to encourage, like we have said time with our numbers, that look, you are right. Nobody's going to force you to like somebody. But if you want to do it, let us use the legal process. That's all we should do. But this is very clear that Mr. Boyka has an agenda, and that agenda is to exhibit or to take full control over the entire governance system of Liberia. He wants to be the only chief on the block that when he say A, it is A, and B, it is B. We saw what happened, first of all, with the judiciary branch. When they called Mr. Boyka, those people who were taken from their tenure position went to the court and said that, look, we felt that our rights were being trampled upon by this government. The court issued an order to Mr. Boyka telling him that, look, the procedure that was used, it was completely wrong. Let these people be reinstated and do what is wrong. What did he do? He ignored the court and decided to take the other shortcut by saying, okay, I will suspend them. As I speak to you today, almost all of the position, the tenure position, almost all of them are being occupied by people who are acting. Will they be acting for the next 4 years? This is what we are seeing. We saw what happened at the Capitol building, listening to the tone of this president as it relates to the incident that happened at the Capitol. Mr. Boyka was brave enough to, in fact, identify people in even the absence of investigation by saying that those who are responsible. How did Mr. Boyka, the president of the Republic of Liberia, came to the conclusion that there were people who were responsible for fire incident? Because of his statement, that's why we saw Gregory Como behaving like a hooligan. So he wanted to catch somebody to ensure that that statement from the president, which is a policy statement, is actualized. So he ran behind Safoko, which is wrong. And we cannot continue to proceed in this way and manner. Liberia is slipping off the cave of an enviable democracy system. Remember yesterday, the entire world was praising us for the level of democracy. Yes, sir. For the level of democracy that we have practiced. But look at where we are today.
I will have
Thank
to
you.
come back to you, Mr. Sheriff. Let's hear from Bishop Reeves. You listen to the conversation. Go ahead, Bishop Reeves.
Yeah, I think on this panel, it is clear now that Prince Sheriff gets under my skin when he goes to the extreme. And the same thing with Bishop Hager. He gets under my skin when he goes to the extreme. He goes to the extreme with Joseph Boyka. Prince Sheriff goes to the extreme with George Weah. And they don't see, they don't come to strike a balance, which is wrong. And I need you to repent from that thing. Because look at what Prince Sheriff is talking about. Tenure position. I don't want him to open his mouth about no tenure position because George Weah government, and I can tell you straight, I was involved in that whole thing when he started to deal with Martin Colley, okay, for the how to call it, this bureau that was responsible for lotteries, national lotteries. Because he wanted to put his boys there, he went and took and Martin out of there. And the court said it should go back to status quo ante. And George Weah refused to do that. And he kept those hooligans over there. So I don't want Prince to start talking anything but tenure position when George Weah have messed up already on that thing. So let him stay quiet when it comes to tenure position issue with Boyka. I don't support President. Yes, so they should stop that. The same thing with what's his name, Bishop Hager. They are going to the extreme about what President Boyka is doing. You listen to Mr. Sandy. Mr. Sandy explain the thing. If those people want to be the majority, let them follow the procedure by the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Randy, Bishop Hagar, Mr. Sherry. Your name was mentioned, so I'll come back to you guys and give you each a minute. But let's hear from Mr. Randy first.
Yeah, I hope you give me more than 2 minutes because
2 minutes. 2 minutes is the limit.
No. Then that means I have to go beyond your protocol, because when I made my comment, people came in with 1 minute. You allow them, and I took keen note to that. So are you saying to me that once my name is mentioned, I should not wait for my time? I should interject? Is that it? Is that
I will decide that, but for now you have 2 minutes, Mr. Randy.
I'm asking you a question.
What is the question?
Somebody mentioned my name. Do I have the right? Because I'm witnessing people here coming in with all you calling on them. If that is the rule, then I have the right.
Not necessarily your name have to be called for me to give you 2
No, but I'm
minutes.
just asking you. People will come on the show, and people will come on the scene and say, "Hey, can I come in?" And you say, "I'll give you 1 minute." So
Yes, if it is a rebuttal, I
So
give you.
Derek,
Yeah, but you never did it.
yeah, Randy and
Mr.
Derek, may I just suggest something?
Go ahead. But
Look,
Mr. Randy.
this podcast is being viewed globally. A lot of things can be discussed behind the scene. Oh, I need 2 minutes. I need 3 minutes. Back and forth, just not necessary.
Thank you. Thank
That's-
you very much, Mr. Stanley.
Yeah.
Let's give Mr. Randy 2 minutes.
Mr. Sandy, I don't
Go ahead,
think,
sir.
yeah, I don't think what you just said is something that I'm not aware of. I have been on so many platforms, but what I always come by is the rules. I'm asking Mr. Derek, because what I observe here is people will come in and say, "Can I interject?" Well, as a professional person, I tend to wait for my time. But then when my time comes and I say, "Hey, can I make a rebuttal?" Because the 9 seconds to a minute I would take to make a rebuttal before getting back to the main point, I may exceed that. But if he is saying that he gave me 2 minutes, then that means he's giving me the right now to interject when somebody mentions any issue that I want. So the rule has to be established. If we want to provide correction to our society and to our audience, we have to be guided by the principle on which the program is guided by. So I just want to set that record straight.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Go ahead. You got 2 minutes.
So Prince Sherry mentioned that everyone has a right to protest. I'm saying to him and to everyone here, CDC came and changed the entire civil protest to a political protest. All right? That is something that today, as you can see, none of the people who participate in the protest today are being put on camera. Sekou Carrasco is now all over the internet as someone who has been threatened. That was the intention. So that means that the protest for the civil society, it had now been overshadowed. Now, as far as the protests go, whether you need permit or not, there is a gray area in there. And we have to establish this. The right to a peaceful assembly does not require any permit. You have to go to a definite place to sit down and protest. But where the ambiguity comes in, that is not explicitly clear, is how does Article 17 define protest? So many Liberians are missing the definition of protest. And that is something that I see as a gap within the political environment and the academic environment that is causing all the rigmarole. Because people can drive or people can walk to go assemble. But the constitution of our country hasn't yet defined what our role may be. So we are still learning along the way. Now, when it comes to what is happening at the Capitol Hill, you know, this is so embarrassing that we see the law enforcement officer, the executive who are in charge of implementing the law, and the people who are in charge of developing or crafting the law going at loggerhead. This is a very interesting moment for the generation to see, because in order for us to have a constitutional remover, the constitutional procedure must be put into place. And the purpose of the constitutional procedure is to ensure that the rule of law is obeyed. And when the rule of law is obeyed and the constitutional provision is established, then we have a democracy that operates on principles. But these things are not being put into place. And we are seeing things from far and near. So what Mr. Boka is doing, he is completely ignoring the constitutional procedures, and he completely disregarding the rule of law. And that means our democracy has no principle. People will do things. But you have a majority. Does that quantify you to have the number you need? When we are one Boka in the first round, if we were going by majority, then we are wins. Am I lying here, folks? So, but they don't have to be counted to be such a percentage. But because Mr. Boka has purpose in his heart that he have any rules and regulation, he will do exactly what he wants to do. So for me, rule number 2065 that I see that Liberia will become a better country. You can tell me all you want, but you're going to see that in time to come.
Thank you very much, Mr. Randy. Mr. Sheriff, earlier, Bishop Reed mentioned your name, so I'm going to give you a minute if you want to do a rebuttal to him.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this is the hypocrisy that we are talking about, especially for those of us who are in this van nation, and we need to provide the necessary correction. It is unfortunate. You can see that the president, Mr. Joseph Numa Boakai, is deeply involved with this, and he wants to have his will. And he will stop at nothing in order to ensure that his will prevail. Now, do you need a rocket scientist to tell you that there are processes if you want to remove somebody? Look, the Constitution is very clear. The Constitution understand and know that there will come a time. That's why Article 49 clearly states on how you can be able to remove somebody, because they know that one day there will be a time like this where a group of people will sit down and think that they are in the majority and say, well, we're plenty, so therefore, let's just do what we can do. Should we say we are plenty, so therefore we should disrespect the law? Or should we say we are following the Constitution and the rule of law? So I think from all indication, the Constitution must be followed. Whether you are 50, you are 60, you are 99, but let us follow the rule of law. And we must encourage that, especially people who stand before the pulpit and speak to the mind or represent God on earth must be able to ensure that these things are taught.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Thank you very much. Now, let's hear from you, Bishop Hagan.
Friend and brother, people say, I appreciate your whatever way you are telling the opinion of the ultra prophecy of Joseph Numa Boakai administration. I think we want to express our opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion. Opinions are not fact, but it's how we appreciate things. The whole my appreciation that Joseph Numa Boakai is governing the country in the right way. He is one of the best presidents ever, and I stand by that. So nobody can change the opinion of mine. You have your own opinion, but I have this opinion. I appreciate him for what he's doing.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, Bishop Hagan. And guys, before we move on, I want for us to talk about the fire incident in at the Capitol, and also how the reactions that have been coming from out of there. Speaking of reaction, let's watch a video of how.
Hey, Derek, can you just give me a minute?
Please take a minute.
Okay, look, I want to speak quickly to Jawakin and my friend and brother, Reverend Hager. Reverend Hager, the purpose of the rule of law is to ensure orderliness in every society. Rule of law is the foundation for any society. Any society that does not respect the rule of law is doomed. America is great. Other nations, the world over, are great because those countries adhere to the principle of what? Rule of law. It's very simple. I'm disappointed to hear my colleague journalist Jawinkin Wia say, oh, well, this is not about rule of law, it's about fanatic Kofa. Jawinkin, yeah, a journalist. When we speak, people listen.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Thank you, Mr. Sandy.
Yes.
Let me give a minute to Mr. Wia, and then I will take our first break after that.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to really clarify that statement and restate that, and I stand by that. The first thing I like to say is that I believe in rule of law. That's what I supported Gongo, and I still do. Look, why the student I don't support Boakai? Boakai government has the right to provide police, because if anybody were to die at that protest, the government are going to be held responsible.
Speak to your call for Kofa to resign. That's why we need to speak to.
I'm coming. Now, I said what I spoke about Kofa is this. Yes, he has the right. Mr. Sandy, you see that here in America, people can say they are removing themselves because they are distraction. Look at what is going on. The purpose of our lawmakers is to serve the Liberian people, to make laws. But each of them, my criticism is this. Speaker Kofod is sticking to this particular point, this particular right, because it has to do with him.
Thank you.
But I haven't seen any senator or representative in that country to say that, okay, they got budget for scholarship for that in their the way they disperse.
No. It has to do with setting the legacy for the rule of law. Not because of him, but it has to do with setting the legacy for the rule of law. Yeah. So to say he won for his role to prevail. No.
Sherry, hold on. Here in the United States, people removing themselves. Okay, their purpose of being represented as senator is to sell the Liberian people. Are they being served? Because they are fighting among themselves, protecting their position. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm not saying he's wrong. Yeah, he has the right. But at the end of the day, we are talking about the people of Liberia, because each of them maintaining their position, protecting their power, not the interest of the Liberian people. That's what I'm saying.
No, when you protect the rule of law, you protect the Liberian people. We need to make this clear. When you protect the rule of law, you protect the Liberian people. They are not protecting paycheck. It is the rule of law that they are protecting. That people will not be able to circumvent the rule of law or do whatever they want to do and walk away. We need to get this clear.
Thank you guys so much. If you're watching us, this is episode 4 of season 7 of the Hard Zone, and we reached the point where we have to take our first break, and so we'll take a minute or two break, and then we will see you guys after the break.
Attention all organizations, NGOs, and social clubs in and out of Liberia. Are you tired of relying solely on social media to run your operations? An effective web platform is your most important marketing tool, and that's where Tiamat.com comes in. Hello, my Liberian people. My name is Sophia, and I want you to consider this. 53% of consumers do online research about an organization before talking to someone from that institution. That means not having a website could be costing you opportunities. Step up your game and establish a professional online presence. Introducing our web platform, designed specifically for 501c organizations, small businesses, and political organizations, social clubs, etc. At Tiamat.com, we understand how important it is to make a great digital first impression, which is why we offer you all the help needed to develop, maintain, and host NGOs and small and big organization websites by giving you a full suite of services that includes automatic billing for members, membership and visitor portals, first-class design and functionality, and much more. The best part is, it only costs $20 per month. Upgrade your image today with our customized web design services. Visit www.tiamat.com to get started. This is a Liberian-owned business.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 4 of season 7 of the Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yali. I'm playing host tonight, and I'm here with my team of panelists, Mr. Sandy, Mr. Weir, Mr. Randy, Mr. Sheriff, Mr. Boda, Bishop Hager, and Bishop Cephas Reeves. Guys, you've been following the news story and development coming out of Liberia. We all have learned about the fire incident at the Capitol. There has been a lot of reaction from that incident. So before we get into that, let me play the president of Liberia, how he responded to this incident. Let me play a video of how the president responded to this incident, and then I will come to each of you panelists for your takes and your position on this. So again, let's watch a video of President Boakai reacting to the fire incident on the Capitol.
We are a poor country. People are trying to help us, and other people are bent on destroying this country. You have problem. We have the rule of law. We have every way in this place to be able to listen to you, but we're not going to accept this. And we're asking the Minister of Justice, all of the security apparatus, including our friends, to investigate this letter. People who are culprit, we will deal with them, and we'll set the tune for all other people who, when they get angry, they burn down the police, they destroy this. We're not going to allow this. So we just want to say, to console the members of the first family in this government, that we're in sympathy with them, but this destruction we have to stop. And we're not going to allow this to happen in this country. But people who have problems, we have the way to remedy all the issues in this country. So that's all I have to tell you. I'm happy that you are here. You will look at yourself, but we're not going to settle for this. This is not a place for hooligans. This is a place for responsible people who are here to serve the Liberian people. This country is poor, and I don't care what they do, we'll build this country for the interest of future generations. Thank you.
His Excellency President Joseph.
Thank you. This is not, or this country is not a place of hooligans. I do not care what they do. We're going to build this country for the sake of future generation. That is the president of Liberia reacting to the fire incident on the Capitol. Now, let me bring this to you, dear panelists. I'd like to start with you, Bishop Hagan. The fire incident, you saw the news, you followed the reactions, you just listened to the president. What do you think, Bishop Hagan?
President Joseph Yuma Boaga exhibited the highest degree of leadership. Your Capitol building is burned, and you come there immediately to reassure everybody that the government is functioning. Every president, there will be no president that will not condemn that. He did condemn the barbaric act on our capital. That's a building that belongs to the Liberian people. That's the pride of our nation. To be burned down like that, he made it clear that the police and the security apparatus will investigate to the fullest. And anyone who is caught, whether that United Party, whether that CDC, whoever is responsible will be dealt with to the full extent of the law. So what is wrong with that? This is the House of Representatives, or that place is not for hooligans. It's not for people to come and just do anything there. Is it wrong? It's not for hooligans. It's for serious people. That is where the Liberian people future to be discussed. Laws and things are acted over there for the betterment of the country. Never people when they angry, whoever it is, to put and fire. Listen, man, I work vacation job to that Capitol building in the 70s. In the 80s, Moses know used to be the information. It's a problem going to go there just to see that place. For somebody, whoever it is, whether even for the Unity Party, they must be dealt with the full extent of the law. What's wrong with that statement? It's a good leadership statement. And I applaud the president for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bishop Hagan. Let's take you next, Mr. Sandy. Your initial reaction, give us your take on this whole fire incident, President Boycott, or reaction to it.
Look, I want to differ with the Reverend. President Joseph Yuma Boaga misspoke. I say he misspoke. What he said yesterday has a propensity of undermining the ongoing probe. No one has been able to establish if what happened at the Capitol was an arson, meaning that someone may have said that someone with a criminal intent may have set the fire. No one has been able to establish that. A good leader would have said, this is unfortunate. We are concerned about the current incident and we will institute a probe. But for the president to say that the justice ministers and the others will investigate, and if anyone is caught, it means that the president already had a mindset. He was being preemptive. What he said has a propensity of undermining the ongoing probe. What the president said, even emboldening the director of police yesterday. He had a news conference At that news conference, the director of police referred to the incident as an arson attack. Where did he get that information from? Has he arrested anyone? Has anyone come to say, oh, I set the fire? When we talk about arson, we're talking about what? Someone setting fire with a criminal intent. The probe is going on. In less than 24 hours, the police director referenced that as what? As an arson attack. The president of the Republic of Liberia said this place is for honorable people, but not hooligans. Who are the hooligans? Was he making reference to? After the president's pronouncement, quickly, let me just say, after the president's pronouncement, what did he see happening? The police started going after individuals associating with what? Councillor Funati Kofa, Safoko, Melvin Cole, and others were being summoned.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy.
Yes.
Let's take our next panelist, Mr. Jai Winkin Weah. 2 minutes, please.
Well, as I said, why it is true I didn't support Bwaka, I disagree respectfully with my colleague, Mr. Sandy. Bwaka is president of Liberia. Whether you like it or not, where there is a breakdown of law, he did not identify anybody as suspect, but he announced to the Liberian people that whoever is responsible will be punished in line with the laws. Even if that means, from the way I read it, that means even if they are own son. He didn't specify anything. So I don't want to put a ring to it that he is the reason why. And it is also true that even here in the United States, president makes a statement like that. Even if you are a suspect, or if you are called for questioning as a suspect, that does not mean you are guilty. The police or the investigating body of any country or any government can suspect anybody based on presumption until investigation is concluded. So I don't want for us to read into that. We should not, if Bwaka didn't say anything, you can just say, okay, we'll look into it. Yes, you tell Liberian, but you look at that. This place is a place of honorable people.
If I may,
that's what he said.
Mr. Jai Winkin Weah,
Yes.
if I may interject, just a quick question. Is it possible that this fire could have been caused by like electrical?
Okay, yes. When it is the electrical,
I'm not done with the question. I'm going to give you the time to answer the question. Is it you've answered that it's possible that this fire could have been caused by like an electrical short circuit, like in electricity and there are other sources of where the fire may come from. So by the president using the word whoever, doesn't that or whoever or whatever, doesn't that kind of like rule out the possibility that it's probably an electrical fault? So I think that's what Mr. Sandy was saying. So if you're saying you don't think the president is wrong, like just by using the word whoever, doesn't that kind of like undermine the investigation?
No, I say no.
Go ahead.
I say no until
please tell us.
somebody is arrested and prosecuted innocent. I mean, why should we say that? Just today, I don't know why people, just today, let me put it in the American context. Just today, the president-elect, Republicans passed their own bill for the funding. And he said they should not do it, and they didn't do it. But what I'm saying in short here is that just because Bwaka said that whoever responsible doesn't mean they will apprehend people innocently. If they do investigation and realize or find out that it was caused by the fire was caused by this, anybody will be arrested.
Yeah, guys.
Anybody for that purpose.
Just give me 30 seconds, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sandy, but I have to
go ahead.
Go to the next panelist. Let's hear from Mr. Sheriff. And guys, we're running short on time, so I will have to be very strong on this 2 minutes. Mr. Sheriff.
The president's statement was inflammatory, it was reckless, it was irresponsible, and has every ingredient to cause a serious insurrection or genocide against group of people who do not believe in his agenda to lead Liberia. Like we saw, immediately that statement, reckless statement was made, what happened? The police director, to effectuate overzealous man who we don't really know his status, he jumped directly into action and decided to go after Honorable Frank Safoko for a statement that was made some 5 months ago. Some 5 months ago. Look, my people, let us stop what we are doing. You can support whoever you want to support. You can support the government, but you must be fair enough and be straight enough to call on them when they are wrong. What we are seeing is just a complete, I don't know, but this is a complete outlaw situation in Liberia. This is tyranny to its highest level. For the president to use that sacred ground, the people's ground, where the people's representatives are, to use that ground and say whoever that is responsible. In fact, he point a direct accusing finger. The president, in all rightness, at least should have said, look, we will investigate this matter. But to go to the extent of knocking people, and you see what is happening. Now, even journalists have been targeted by overzealous partisans or lovers of the president. You saw what happened to Austin Kawa. His car, while he was on air, trying to provide information and critique this government, you saw what happened. His car was set ablaze. You saw what happened to Sekou Kalasco Diamaro. Him, along with 13 persons, was placed behind bar. You saw what is going on now. As I speak to you, we have just received credible information that there are people who are not in support of this government, who are critical of this government, that have people or plainclothes men going to their homes. We just received that information in one chat room while we are on here. We just received that information that plainclothes men are going after people who are now critical of this particular government. Is this the kind of government that we want?
Thank you.
Is this the kind of government?
Thank
It is
you,
unfortunate, and we must condemn the president for this.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. J. Renty, let's take you next. You have 2 minutes. You're on mute.
Yes, guys. So after here, I'll be leaving because I have other stuff to do. I think what we need to clearly understand here is not about party identity or tribal affiliation. That is social engineering. I think what we need to understand here as this generation, as we have gained political revolution, because we are not gained social equality revolution yet, because we are still fighting for equality. But I think the disservice here is, whether do we truly believe in structure? Do we actually believe in principles? There's nothing wrong with the president speaking, but the president should understand that he has people who he has designated in different roles for different functions. In the case of what happened at the Capitol there, we have had series of incidents in the past, not just with the Capitol, but there are instances where homes and other businesses have been burned. We are not seeing any report from the fire marshal to educate the people that sometimes fire could be caused by mechanical error, it could be caused by electrical error, it could be caused by biological error, and it could be caused by arson. And only the fire marshal will be able to carry out this information. And then in the case when that report comes out, it will neutralize whether it is now related to electrical, mechanical, biological. And then when we found out it is arson, and then we start to tailor our investigation to those who have made prior comment in the past to determine the cause. But that is in no way guarantee that a person is the cause. When we have those standards, and our leader are disseminating the process, then for me, I see our society as a growing society. Now, let's look at the lawmaker themselves. That entire building does not even have a fire suppression system. That is a shame. That building does not even have a closed circuit television. That is a shame. That building does not even have a 24-hour security. That means the building doesn't have anything on there. All right. So guys,
I will give you 30 seconds because I want to pick your mind on what do you think about the speaker from the majority black and the speaker of the House of Representatives?
I think that's a very bad example. One is exhibiting dictatorship, which is in the form of unwritten rules, and that go to Mr. Cohn. And one is standing by the side of the rule of law that clearly spell out constitutional provision, the rule of law that support our democratic principles. Because you remember, Speaker Fanati Kofa and the very cool guy in January went into election and he won. And there were people who came up with the numbers. I don't care whether they are in majority. If they are calling on the speaker to say, you know what, Mr. Speaker, we have the number, put the issue on the floor, let's discuss it. And if Fanati Kofa said no, then Derek, I will come here and say, Mr. Kofa, he's wrong. But they are spending taxpayer money at the RJ Hotel, which is a waste of time again. So thank you very much. And quickly, thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Randy. Let's hear from you, Mr. Bodak. What's your take on this? 2 minutes.
Well, look, the issue of what the president said, what he didn't say, it had multiple effects and sometimes. I want to look at the context of what's going on in our, whatever the president said at this moment is not going to have any sustain or any strong value as a leader, the voice of the people, because they are part of the problem already. When you become a part of a situation where you're not neutral any longer, your voice becomes meaningless in the process. So I think the president making a statement, they should have a public statement that somebody read. And secondly, the police cannot just come up with arrest of people, especially you're talking about another branch of government. There are procedure in inviting these people for audience to talk to them. We saw they have a police armed men rushing to Safoko House. 3 police vans going around. That does not exhibit the rule of law, the constitution that we're talking about, the democracy we're talking about. Mr. Fogo had not yet been deemed as criminal. He had not done anything out of his work environment, outside his work environment. This is a crisis within the House of Representatives. And if there are any credible reason for which anything should come to the senator, it's not coming from the police, not the IG.
Thank you, Mr.
That should come from the Ministry of Justice.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Let's hear from Bishop Reeves. Bishop Reeves, you got 2 minutes. You're on mute.
Okay, I think I stand partially with Mr. Sandy and Mr. Randy. Okay, and I stand with them because we don't know the cause of the fire. It has not been established yet, the cause of the fire. Maybe it has, I don't know about it. But I don't think the cause of the fire has been established. And if the cause of the fire has not been established, then we should approach it in a different way. Because it could have been anything. All right. Now, I will be very sad if that fire was caused by a person who intentionally decided to burn that building down. I will be very sad if someone decided to do that, because they are taking Liberia back. They are not doing anything that would take the country forward. So because I don't know what the cause of that fire is, I won't start off by accusing someone and thinking that someone did it. I would really want them to investigate and come up with findings as to what happened. I would not even speculate, because there are many things on this show that we can speculate to. There are a lot of information coming from the back as to the former president, Thomas Fala, all kinds of things. We could bring that in a show, but no, we can't. We only want to talk about facts, okay? So I think that whatever way it was addressed, I think we should wait and let the fire marshal investigate and tell us what it is before we start moving after people.
Thank you so much, Bishop Reeves. Bishop Hager, I'd like to give you a minute, 30 seconds, for you to respond to some of the comments on the Mr. Sherry
You know,
said. Go ahead.
I'm so happy that most of my friends here, considering the situation that preceded the fire to be a normal situation. There were things that preceded the fire. If the president said some things, it was in context. It was in context. Some of you who are journalists, I would really ask you guys to go back on interviews of politicians and lawmakers, what they said a day before. And someone said, okay, what Poco said was 5 months ago. But don't forget that not only Poco alone was speaking, there were people who actually went on the Capitol building, and when the police were on there, they literally wanted to impose their will on the Capitol building. Whatever the police did, we are not justifying it here. But what we want to understand is there was tension brewing. So there's an indication that the tension was exhibited and other things will happen. So the president has to go there and address the situation. Everywhere in the world there's a natural disaster, the president go there. I know in America they do have the management of disaster. There's a special federal agency that speak on that. But the president go there and make political statement so that he can acquire the different emotion and say, look, there's a governance process here. We are in leadership. So get a lot of people to get in the. So when you went to the ground, right after the fire was to reassure the Liberian people that there's leadership on the ground, even though the building is burning down, but the government still functions. And anyone, repeat that statement, anyone, the police must conduct a full-fledged investigation. Any president will say the same thing. The police.
Bishop Hager, let me.
Moses, I thank God that you don't have all the information. And the police will come up, what was the funny, what we're hearing that there was gasoline somewhere, all of those things. We want to know what happened. Yeah.
Let me squeeze a question here and give you 30 seconds. Again, this is like me talking in circle. But how did the president know that it was someone that they caused the fire? Because he kind of speculated when he said whoever. And even you just said it, you said anyone. Yeah. So how did the president know that it wasn't the fire did not come from any other source but a person? And do you think, according to Mr. Sherry, that the president's speech or the president's comment was inflammatory?
What I'm saying, Jerry,
I want you to speak to the question.
That the fire happened in the context of some political instability. People were demonstrating. People went on the Capitol building ground. There was some tension brewing up. So we cannot deny.
I understand that, Bishop Hager.
Why the fire could be a natural from electrical misfunction, but the president, the entire nation, everybody was thinking about something going to happen. The tension was going up. So the president responded based on that. And all over the world, anybody can infuse that.
So you don't think it was inflammatory?
No, absolutely not.
They'll come back to you, Mr. Sandy. You had a rebuttal earlier, so let me give you a minute and 30 seconds.
But look, you guys have said almost everything, right? Look, Reverend, when you call for a probe, it means that you do not have an answer. You want to get an answer to whatever, the situation is. Say, let us investigate. But the president came across as already having an answer. He said, whatever. He had already concluded that this was an arson. That's why he said, whatever. He had already concluded that a group of people set the fire. So if the president had already concluded, doesn't that defeat the purpose of the fire service even doing a probe? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of the police doing a probe? And let me remind you of this. The incident followed the protest on Tuesday. On Monday. On that Monday, the police took siege of the Capitol building. That place was declared as a crisis area. The police took siege of the Capitol building. So if we agree that police officers had absolute control of the Capitol building, and then we wake up Tuesday morning, there's fire incident. Who do we talk to first? Don't we talk to the police?
Well, whoever. That's what you mean by whoever.
Yeah, so listen now, you see now, whatever, right? So the first person we go to is the police. You guys were here last night. What happened? You help us understand. That would be the first thing. So for the president to even use the word display is not for hooligans. Who are the hooligans at the Capitol? Immediately after that, they started picking people up associated with Kofa. Reverend, you preach the sermon and we follow. You preach the sermon, we follow. This is about rule of law. You don't indict people without evidence. Let me stop there, Derek.
Uber on the way.
Go ahead, Derek.
Thank you, Mr. Before I come to you, Bishop Reeves, let me give Mr. Sheriff a minute because I think you have a rebuttal, Mr. Sheriff.
Yeah, we have no reason to doubt thus says the Lord, especially when it is coming from one who represents the Lord on earth, like the bishop and others. It's almost like the president of the Republic of Liberia. Whatever he says becomes a policy statement. And today what we are seeing, get this clear, the police is going to start running after key opposition figure in that government, like we have already seen with the Honorable Frank Safoko, because the president has already termed people and named them, and in fact tagged them as hooligans. Who are the hooligans? People who do not agree with Mr. Bweka's dictatorial reign or his dictatorial tendency of moving a speaker in an orthodox manner. Who are the hooligans? The hooligans are people who do not believe in his style of leadership, this tyrannic style of leadership. Look, Liberia, if we are not careful, like we are seeing now, is going down the drain. And unfortunately, people like the bishop is sitting here and praising Mr. Bweka for all of this wrong. It is unfortunate. The church should look in the faces of our leaders, because you represent the Most High on earth. Look in the faces of our leaders where they are going wrong and say, look, this is wrong. But to see you praising it, Reverend, then we are not surprised. While all of these bishops and reverend and these religious leaders are becoming board members, and they are sitting and seeing that wrongs are happening and they cannot talk. Yesterday, these people were actively involved in politics doing the CDC-led government. They were opposition leaders. They were calling the government and putting their people outside and protesting. But today, we are not seeing it. All we are seeing from this bishop is they are becoming board members, hailing and praising this particular regime. It is unfortunate.
Thank you, Mr. Sheriff. Bishop Reeves, before we take our final break, let me ask you this question. Earlier in the show, Mr. Randy, referring to the president, said he's grossly incompetent. Has a very strong word for the president. Mr. Boda even highlighted that when he said he thinks some level of failure in leadership in the government. Now, but later on, Bishop Hagan said he thinks that this president is the best president ever. Now, I want to go back 4 years. Similar thing about Judge Manu. We had his supporters, seditions, and things, said that he was the best president. And you know what other people said, including those the voters did not agree with that, and they voted him out. Now, my question to you: where are we as a country? The previous administration, this administration, the best president. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think Prince Sherry is a big hypocrite, because President Weah did some of the same things you see happening there and did it worse And I never saw him come on the show one day to condemn what President Weah did. That is very hypocritical. And that's why I said from the beginning that he and Bishop Hager, they are going to the extreme, two extremes. They should not go to the extreme. They need to come to the middle so they can be very balanced. Because I can list the number of hypocritical things that George Weah did, and he's supporting George Weah now to come back to 2029. I see all the corruption and hypocritical things that he did, and he has not condemned one of them. President Boyka, this is the first year, okay? He has made some wrong moves, I can say that. But I also see that within the first year, President Boyka have fired some people for corruption, which I never saw during President Weah's term. Okay, he compromised with people. So
firing is not a thing. Has he prosecuted anybody? Has anybody been prosecuted? No. Let's point of injection. Has anybody been prosecuted? Ami Modal was there.
Do not
The
interrupt me.
RC boss. Not just firing. Are they prosecuted?
Mute that man. Let me finish speaking. He might not. He should not interrupt me. Let him be muted.
Vis-a-vis, I would do my best to protect you, Mr. Sheriff. Let's protect you, Sheriff. Make a point.
So my point that I'm making is, these people are going to the extreme. If President Boyka is not doing well in these particular instances, let's call it out. All right, let's call it out. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about who the best president, who's not the best president. President Weah have his full term for us to determine whether he was the best president or not. This is President Boyka first. In fact, January will be 1 year. Okay, so they have proceeded wrong in some things, and they have fired some people who have been engaged in corruption in a certain way. This particular subject that we are dealing with now, so far as the Capitol building is concerned, I think that President Boyka is not proceeding correctly in terms of how he's handling it. Mr. Sandy put it correct. Let them follow the Constitution. If the majority black does not want Fonati Kofa, then the procedure, let them follow the procedure and move him from there. But they should not be back and forth. People come talk to the Ome will talk to Fonati, the Ome will talk to the majority black. We can talk about what's happening in the back, but because it's not something proven, that's why we don't put it on the show. It's not that we don't know what's going on in the background.
Thank you.
We know what President Weah is doing. So, but so let's
thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Bishop Reeves.
Yes, sir.
We have 4 more minutes for next week. Let me hear from Mr. Boda. I'll give you a minute, Mr. Boda. Just talk to us on this. Boyka the best, George Weah is the best. This administration did this. This administration did that. What do you think?
Look, the fact of the matter here that we're speaking to the current event that happened before, unfolded before what we are now today. We see many times. We saw the final administration got burned before. There had not been anything done about those things. What happened there? No information was brought to the public as to what happened.
Yeah.
And we're seeing similar thing at the Capitol. Okay. So we don't know the depth of what happened at the Capitol. And we just want our president to proceed as the leader, not being a part of the process, the problem. That is why I personally speaking too. That's my own observation and my conviction of the rule of law to Liberia. And he spoke to that. That he was going to be, business as usual is not going to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Sherry.
And we want to see that business as usual not to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Sherry. Please, 1 minute. 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You know, like every other previous speaker said, and that we will continue to say, the way Mr. Boyka is proceeding, for some of us, we can seriously doubt his 6 years with the way he is proceeding, because we are seeing all of the ingredients to divide our country. We are seeing all of the ingredients to ensure that Liberia becomes very unstable, that will probably lead to the people rising up against his tyrannic behavior. We are seeing it. what we are saying here, over the period of 6 years, we saw how President Weah led his people. People were given the opportunity to speak. People were now witch hunt. There were no political prisoners. People were now barricaded and, government giving order that shoot people. People were not placed behind bars because of statements that they made in the rotunda or in the Capitol building. Politicians, or in other words, oppositions, they were now being witch hunted by by the government. But today, everything is what we are seeing. Somebody talk about Mr. Boyka taking an approach to sack people. Do we want dismissal, or do we want these people to be brought to justice? Let's look at what happened to Ami Moda. After Ami Moda take the Liberian people fund huge amount, what happened to Ami Moda? Mr. Boyka gave Ami Moda an accolade and say walk away free. Gave him a medal and say walk away free. Let's look at Entrepreneur. After taking refugee money, the men walk away free. We want persecution. That's what we want.
Mr. Sheriff, you have exhausted 1 minute. Let's take Bishop Hager last. If you guys have anything more to add on this show, please make sure you include it in your closing remark. But Bishop Hager, go ahead.
Prince every year in America making all kinds of regular statements. We have a democratic process in Liberia. If we waited for his turn to be over. In 2029, if you say Prince Cherry said they have the mandate of the Liberian people, let's test it on the democratic process exercise. He shouldn't be sitting here talking about the way he's proceeding. They will find way to remove him. Who are you? Who gave you the right to speak for the Liberian people? The Liberian people only have one method of removing their government through the democratic process. Election time, we all ascribe to that electoral process. 6 years, if President Boyka has failed the Liberian people in 2029, let's tell me that. We have by-election coming up very soon. By-election will determine whether the government is doing well or not. The people will say no. They're doing well. How the democratic process been tested? So
don't confuse us here. The Constitution gave us the right that even before we go for our democratic thing, we can remove the president or whoever with signatures.
Mute that man.
Mr. Sheriff, let's protect the
on the best for Liberia. CDC does not have the monopoly over law for Liberia.
Bishop Hager, thank you, Bishop Hager. Thank you.
If you don't like Joseph, voting on. That's what I have to say.
Bishop, thank you. I wanted to take a break, but I have to get your take on this. I listened to Mr. Sheriff earlier, and I don't know if he was talking about the previous administration, because I heard him saying there was no opposition persecuted, amongst other things that he said. I don't know if he was speaking about the administration. I think one of the commenters even mentioned the full auditor's death. We saw how the government handle opposition lawmaker Yeke Koluba, and there are so many things. So I don't know if you were talking about that administration or another administration.
No, he was talking about that.
Let's hear from you, Mr. Sandy.
Yeah, but look, all I can say is that, look, President Boyka is erroneously undermining the Liberian democracy. He's laying the foundation, inadvertently laying the foundation for a bigger problem in a country. Because if you have a president that refuses to adhere to the rule of law, that does not respect the rule of law, he says it must be his way, then the country is headed for what? A bigger problem. In the 80s, in the 1990s, we lost thousands of human lives. Property destroyed. Why? Failure to adhere to the rule of law. And we see these things creeping gradually. Look, let me end on this. I saw a video yesterday when the president went to the Capitol, Derek. Speaker Kufuor was present. The president sitting, the vice president, or this guy Richard Coon, the quote-unquote speaker by the majority black. Kufuor reached out to the president, the vice president, and the others, He extended a handshake. The president refused to shake Kofi's hand. The vice president refused to shake Kofi's hand. What has this guy done so evil that he will be demeaned like that publicly? What has he done? The president is openly proving to the world that he wants to see Kofi go, even in defiance of the laws of the country. Is that good leadership?
Thank you.
Really?
Thank you.
Is that good leadership?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandy, and to all of you watching us. Again, let's take our final break. Mr. Sheriff, you can include that in your closing, please. Yes, let's take our final break. We'll see you guys after the break.
Thank you.
Maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind. Welcome to your new home away from home in the heart of Margibi County, Liberia. This privately owned guest house located at Disco Hill provides a spacious home for vacation rentals, including 3 comfortably decorated bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. Here, we aim to meet the need of every one of our guests. Do you plan on hosting a meeting? Invite your team to our expansive lounging area, which is perfect for conferences. Let our attentive staff help you celebrate life's biggest moments with your loved ones in our spacious indoor and outdoor event area with chairs, tables, and all your event needs. Whether you're visiting home from abroad or right here in Liberia, we're ready to take your call. Welcome home. Call us now to book your reservation at your new home away from home.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the very end of episode 4 of season 7 of the Hard Zone. Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us this far. So here we are in the segment where we ask our panelists to give you their final take on the program, and then we will draw. Okay, I'm sorry. And then we'll draw the curtain to this episode. I'd like to do that by starting with Mr. Martin Boda, and then we will go to the next panelist. Mr. Boda, thank you. Please give your final remark on this episode.
Well, look, I think we are all seeking one principal thing, which is the rule of law. And what is sad here is that the kind of double standard that we see from the president. When I saw the picture where the president was sitting with Kuhn, that just exacerbated the crisis, and even make it more broadening to the point that you cannot be a neutral person any longer. Why would you be sitting with Kuhn as a speaker when you still have crisis at the Capitol? And my advice to our leaders in Liberia, the House, the Senate, and the president himself, we need to rethink what it means to lead our people. And especially so when the president-elect, Honorable Bouaga, who is the father of our nation, one of the oldest to be elected as president of that nation, and his service in government for 40 years speaks a volume when the people took to the street and made statement, and they elected you to serve them. That is to unite. The reason they elected is to bring the country together, bring everybody together under one umbrella, under the Palawa Hut, and to see the way he proceeding, there is it's just mind-boggling to see what happened in Liberia. And please, I ask every Liberian, meaningful Liberian, let's put aside policy. Let's put aside this. You want this secret fancy way you want to be seen from the president as the president's best friend or good man. Please, Liberian, let us leave that behind and move our country forward. Let's see country first.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Boda. Let's hear from you, Bishop Reeves. Give us your final words.
Well, I share similar sentiments. We want to plead that Liberians, we want to have the country first, because when you look at what is going on in our country today, all of those leaders that we have, including the former leader, all of them, they don't have their noses clean. They've dabbled into all kinds of things. The same thing President George Weah did is some of the same things I see President Bouaga is doing. It is wrong, and we must call it out. All right? It is very, very wrong, and we must call it out. We don't want a repeat. President Bouaga is talking to Kufa, and he's talking to Kun. It's not correct. He needs to be serious about the thing, go through the constitutional process, and let the change take place through the constitution. All right, you cannot be talking to Kun and talking to Funati at the same time. All right, it is wrong. Number two, had they not expelled Thomas Fala, there are some things that Thomas Fala brought out about former president that we would not have known about. He started calling them so that they could rally against. So we're hearing things from everywhere. We're not bringing it out as facts, but it's good to put out what we're hearing, so that my point on this show tonight is that Prince Sharif is going to the extreme and Bishop Hagar is going to the extreme. I don't want them to go to the extreme. I want them to come into the middle, because both people, I can put all their dirty laundry outside. They have not done well. We want our president. We want to respect them. We don't want to just be calling them all kinds of names because they are our president, but we want them to function accordingly. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves, for your contribution here tonight. And as always, let's hear now from you, Bishop Hagar. 2 minutes.
To the Liberian people, I'm here tonight to encourage you to continue to support the Excellency Joseph Numa Bouaga. He means very well for the country. Is he a perfect man? No. Have he made some mistake? He did. But from the depth of his spirit, he means well for the country. At his age, it's all about legacy, leaving impact for the next generation. There are things that happen. There is no perfect leadership. We agree. Maybe there was a misstep. Yes. But we cannot negate the fact that he has not played leadership. Joseph, His Excellency President Joseph Numa Bouaga, not to get involved with what was going on at the legislature. And people were here calling him, oh, you got to play your statementship. You got to call. Now, when he called Kun to talk to Kun or talk to Honorable Kofa, people started missing that he's taking side. Liberia is very polarized. There's nothing you will do in that country, whether you do it patriotically, people will still have something to say. People will always have something to say. If President Bouaga has sat home and let somebody speak, they say, oh, the whole Capitol building burned down, the president even go there to see. So these are all the reality that we face. Everything in Liberia is politicized. It is sad. It is very, very sad. What I want to encourage us tonight to all Liberians, enough is enough. Let us all come together and move this country. We have agreed that the democratic process is the only way.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop.
Let's use the democratic process. By election coming up, vote the party if you don't like them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hager, for your contribution to this show as always. Let's hear from Mr. Sheriff, and then we'll take Mr. Sandy last.
We want to condemn the political witch hunt of Mr. Bouaga and his gangster against the CDC and every other political institution in the Republic of Liberia. We call on our people to resist any form of dictatorship that is coming from this particular government. We want to say to sedition that it is about time that you return to the sycamore tree to ensure that the democracy and the peace of our nation is protected. Because history has shown that you people, seditions, are the only people that indeed have been very tolerant and that is able to ensure that the peace and democracy is protected. So the onus is upon you to return to the sycamore tree to ensure that this peace is protected. We cannot allow ourselves to slip to the 14 years of carnage, because everything that is happening is a clear indication that we are going back to the dark days, and we do not want to slip. So that's why we are calling on all seditions. We also call on the government to free all political prisoners that are within the ambience of this particular government. We call on Joseph Numa Bouaga to stop the witch hunt and all of the evil plan and the assassination attempt against key figures of the opposition. We will resist it with our lives, and we are calling on the international community to also intervene. It is better that you intervene now, or else there's going to be a time where Liberia, the hard-earned money that you have spent to ensure that the peace and security is where it is, we may not be able to enjoy it. Again, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. We'll continue to ensure that the peace and the democracy of our nation is respected and upheld by this particular dictatorial regime of Joseph Numa Bouaga. We will resist everything that resembles dictatorship. Thank you, and God bless each and every panelist that is here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheriff, as always. Thank you for your contribution. Let's take our last panelist, Mr. Sandy. Give us your final word.
What I would like to say that it was indeed a great show. But as a media person, someone who had the opportunity of functioning at very level in the media, this would be my advice to every one of us here this evening. In journalism, that's what we call the medium is the message. Meaning that if the medium is not credible, the message will also not be credible. When we sit here as panelists, the expectation from the public is extremely high. You don't want to come here to say, I am CDC. You don't want to come here and say, I am UP, I am ANC. You come here because you want to educate, you want to entertain, you want to inform accurately. We want unbiased opinions. It could be your mom, it could be your dad. If the person is in the wrong, say, Mom, I love you, but this one you are in the wrong. If we don't do that, this platform would be like any other platform. And I don't think that's the intention of why you guys set up this. This was set up to serve as a medium for the sharing of public information, education, and entertaining our people. And you need to do that objectively. For someone to tell me there are people standing in defense of the laws of the country is wrong, I beg to differ.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sandy, and to all of you esteemed panelists, Bishop Hagar, Mr. Sheriff, Mr. Boda, Bishop Reeves, Mr. Jawinkin Weir, and Mr. Randy. And to all of you watching us, thank you again for being with us here for another episode. And just to have you informed, we will be back here next Thursday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and same networks. But until then, I would like to wish each and every one of you a pleasant good evening.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
I want picture I pose for the photo, but I can see myself in the photo. Pose. What happened to the photo? Now I can see myself in the photo. Pose. The people that were laughing at the photo, now the people that I see shining in the photo. Pose. I pose for the photo, but I can see myself in the photo. What happened to the photo? Now I can see myself in the photo. The people that were laughing at the photo, now the people that I see shining in the photo. Papi, what happened to the photo? What happened? How you really tell you all the photo? Now I can see myself in the photo. I was standing right down there in the photo, but now I can't even see my shadow in the photo. Where deep, blah in the photo. So shaka the money I see in the photo. They say your camera was dog. They say your picture was not clear. If your picture will be all clear. Now the reason why they went and took the picture didn't play. But now I see the person in the photo. Talking said I didn't want enjoy in the photo. Where were you?